Good morning, Mark Hutchison. That is the Ask Mark Realtor. Homes, tips, and hints. I'm Mark Dandrea, the doctor of real estate. Coming back to you again, anything home this week with more information and hopefully some entertainment. Mark Hutchison, how are you this morning? How's everything going in your world?
Mark, things are good. It's like 12 degrees outside, so it's a little bit on the cool side, even for me. But, I just enjoy doing what I'm doing. And as you know, I've been doing lots of research lately. So I've enjoyed going back and doing the research and learning stuff that I thought I knew. Then, like always, I know what I don't know, and I still don't know what I don't know. So it's a learning process, and it's lifelong learning. And I love it to death.
Well, I can certainly appreciate that. We're always learning, not only in life, but about our business and in our social world. We're always exchanging information and trying to learn more and trying to keep up with technology, and tend not to want to get overwhelmed by that kind of stuff. So I think it's great. I love to read. I probably read more than anything else. A lot of my research is in podcasts and books versus anything else online. But we all get our information a lot of different ways nowadays. So I was driving over here this morning and was thinking about truly how lucky we are. I mean, I was born and raised here in Columbus. So again, I've said it before, I consider myself a mama's boy. I don't intend to move away from Columbus. As I get older, the weather in the wintertime is kind of a bummer. You mentioned it earlier, it's about 12 degrees out. And this is going to sound silly, but we really concern ourselves with the weather because of our horses, because when there's a significant change in weather from hot to cold or cold to hot, that affects the stomachs of horses, and that's when they tend to colic. So we keep a close eye on the weather for that reason. I know that sounds just silly, but there you have it.
I understand.
Yeah. So hey, I think we wanted to continue our conversation about Columbus. I have a few thoughts, but I wanted to get your thoughts first, pick your brain a little bit. What are some things you'd like to share with our audience about Columbus and surrounding cities?
Ohio has a wealth of history in our state. If you want to just look at stuff like the space industry, and it's always been a good topic. Not only do we have the Air Force Museum over toward Wright Pat, Dayton, Ohio, we have up and toward Wapakoneta, Neil Armstrong, someone that took a couple steps on the moon. They're all within driving distance, and you can go and learn about history, about the Wright brothers. If you like things like lighthouses, or you like caves, there's tours that is on the website that if you want to go look at tours, here's this 5-hour drive that you can go through, and it'll tell you, and I'll post it here in a few days. It will tell you the different caves that's available, the different historic sites, or where the 7.5 presidents that came from Ohio, West Virginia, or Virginia and Ohio have a spitting contest over one of the 8. But if you want to go see where they were born, where they lived, about their history, there's ways you could just spend the day and go visit those places. And Ohio has so many tourist attractions like that are history and enjoyable and scenic, that there's packages put together for you to travel just to see all those things. And it's great. And people come to Ohio that they don't know it. Heck, there's people who live here that don't know that the world's largest gavel is in downtown Columbus. It's outside in a fountain, and it's the largest one in the world, and no one knows it. I have to tell people about it. So it's just like when I lived in Colorado when we were in the military. I had to take a week's vacation to go visit all the stuff in Colorado because I lived there for 4.5 years. I hadn't taken the time to go visit all the stuff that Colorado has to offer. we live in a great state, and there's so much here, Mark. I like Ohio, in case you can't tell.
Well, I appreciate that very much. There's 50 states, and we often see in social media or on the television various sporting events. Every state has, to my mind, a rightfully prideful history. And I don't care whether it's northern, southern, eastern, or western. The people of a particular state rightfully should be proud of where they're from. I should certainly know the history. You mentioned history, and it's just critical. Now, my daughter is an educator, and she teaches math, but the fact of the matter is, in order to be an educator, you have to learn a lot about history. And I think what you and I are saying is history is important. It's important such that we don't repeat some of it. It's also important to know where we come from. It helps us to know where we're going. And I can't agree enough that there's a lot to do in Ohio. I mean, you and I, in the business we're in, we drive around constantly. We're on tour with clients. We drive through all different types of neighborhoods, and I'm constantly fascinated at what I find as I'm driving down particular streets to see the different characteristics of different neighborhoods. And to me, it's just wonderful. I love it here. I like the manner in which our governmental bodies have continued to develop the Columbus and surrounding areas. As we grow, and our city is growing, and the surrounding cities are growing significantly, I think the engineers around here have done a great job with traffic flow and traffic patterns. I don't hear people complaining about traffic here as they do in other cities. I mean, I know a lot of people from Pittsburgh, and when they visit us, that's a constant part of the conversation, is how awful it is to get around in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, even though they've got a great turnpike system. So at any rate, this probably all sounds kind of boring, but I love Ohio. I know you love Ohio. Any last thoughts for the folks that are watching the video?
I'm going to add a couple more things.
Sure.
In Cincinnati, there's a sign museum, all kinds of signs from the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. And then we have a washboard museum. We have all kinds. There's one museum that's in a garage, and we'll talk about that next week. But it's actually in the guy's garage. That's where he has the museum, and it's neat. And the Airstream Museum is here, and people don't know that. There's just so many things that is in history, and things that, even if it's not history, stuff that our parents and grandparents and great grandparents did. It's how they lived. It's how they functioned day to day. And we don't understand what they went through. We don't understand what they went through during the Depression, or before there was electric, or before there was indoor plumbing. People just don't freaking understand what it was like back then. And we have places that will educate everyone about what it was like and how far we've come as a nation.
Could not agree with you more. I will fight till my dying day that Ohio and Midwestern states absolutely have a level of sophistication that they're not given credit for. Guys, if you like these videos, smash that like button. Mark and I share them on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We each have our own YouTube channel. Join us there. Certainly subscribe. That is Mark Hutchison, the Ask Mark Realtor, Homes, Tips, and Hints. I'm Mark Dandrea, the Doctor of Real Estate. Thanks again for joining this week. Mark, thank you for on the call. I appreciate you and yours. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, sir.